No, but I'm saying like have you dated there in Japan for the past
Yeah.
3 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And okay, and how about obviously you dated in Canada? So can you compare that a little bit? Just wondering, how is the experience?
I mean, I could try to compare, but at the same time, like the people who I would date here, to be honest, would by my own like requirements or whatever I want to call that, have experience living overseas
So
or
expats in a sense.
expats or English speakers. Yeah.
Okay,
And maybe we can go into this for the next session or
of
if we're
course.
going to do the
Yeah,
next session. But like
yeah.
for like my thought process behind it is like I don't see myself living here forever, to be
Of
honest.
course. Yeah.
Um I don't at the end of the day, I grew up in a country that wasn't Japan. I don't really see myself as like a Japanese person here.
Yeah.
I like I said, I really enjoy living here now while I'm young, but there's going to come a day where maybe I want a
To move
family or
back.
something
Yeah.
and to move back or to move somewhere else. And as a result of that, like I also don't want to date or even marry, let's say if I think that far.
Yeah.
Sorry, I fell. Someone who speaks or someone who's like purely 100% Japanese, because the honest truth is that if you don't speak English, you can't leave Japan. You're
You're
stuck
stuck
here.
there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and I don't want to like think so short term that like, oh, I want to find someone, I want to get married,
But
sort
in
of
a
thing.
sense, though, I mean, it happens, right? Like you meet a
It
girl, whatever
happens.
it is. Yeah. But how's that experience been? I'm just wondering. Have you dated a true Japanese girl yet or not yet there?
I
Or
mean, like, yeah, I suppose you're like
yeah.
a Japanese girl, yeah, but at the same time, she spent some time abroad and grew up
Correct. So
abroad.
she had that experience, the
Okay, so she
connection with
had
you already in a
Yeah,
experience.
sense.
so
Yeah, okay.
it's hard to really just say are they truly Japanese at that point or what, but
Gotcha.
yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I
Are
guess
they
they
nicer?
need that experience to like be on the same like level or like understanding, like a level
Same
of
page
understanding.
understanding. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Having that
myself,
background.
yeah.
So,
For
yeah.
myself, yeah.
Hang
Hmm.
on. So now, are they nicer than Canadian girls?
Oh,
Who's
you're gonna get him
nicer?
in trouble. I like it.
Who's nicer?
Um it's hard to say because the communication style is different for one thing.
Wait, what do you mean by that? Sorry, just a little bit about elaborate on that a little bit more. Sorry.
Yeah, like in Japan, and this isn't so much an issue for me because I think partially just because of my upbringing that like a
Yeah.
lot more things go unsaid. They just go in implied from tone or body language, or you just sort of talk around
I mean,
things. And
how does that work with someone with low EQ? So I'm just wondering.
oh, you're going to have a very hard time if you have low
Oh,
EQ if you're not used to it.
got it. Okay.
Yeah, it's almost like talking in semicircles, they say. Sort of like being vague. Apparently, like for example, in Japanese, in the language, there's no way to say I like you. Like
No way. I'm gonna Google this right now. Really? There's no way to say that?
you can like there you could say something that translates to I like you, but
Yeah.
the
It doesn't really
meaning
mean the
is
same.
This doesn't mean the same. I see what you're
it
saying,
means
though.
like I love you, like
Oh
very
wow,
serious.
there's really no direct I see what you're saying now.
Oh, you
That's
googled
crazy.
it? There's no direct translation or
Like
like a
it's
meaning.
like
Wow.
no, it's not equal to like I love you in a sense of like you. It's very. You're right. That's so crazy.
So yeah, it's you can't just tell someone, hey, I like you, I like where this is going, blah blah blah. Like you gotta for Japanese people,
Yeah.
really
Jump in.
you either like it's really
When you
like
hold
what you do.
hands.
Apparently, like I'm not Japanese, so like don't
Yeah,
take my word on this, but like
of
you
course.
have to go all in. You have to go full
Mhm.
confession. Like I love you.
That's interesting.
Please date me.
So like what? So the little Japanese culture that I know is
Oh
from
gosh.
Terrace House, right?
Okay.
And there's
Okay.
always confessions on there. Like
There's confessions. It's part of the culture.
Like that's
Yeah.
part of the is like they don't. I don't know if this is true, but from the TV, the
On the
editing,
TV.
they nothing happens until they confess.
So what does it
Partially.
mean? What is this Terror House? Sorry, can you?
Terrace House
Oh.
is a it's a Japanese reality TV show where there's
Wait, what?
3 girls and 3 guys come and live into a house.
So it's a real world Japan style.
Basically, but it's very it's so different than a real world, right?
Okay, I gotta watch this. Is
It's
it less
so
drama or
different.
more drama?
It's less American drama, but the
Okay.
drama is like there's so little drama that everything that happens is exponentially.
Is it awkward drama?
No, it's not. But it's just like it's so much more respectful. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they
It's-
just like it's like you could see how Japanese people interact with each other socially, where
Yeah.
it's like people don't go up to their people's faces and they're like, "Hey, like screw you for doing this."
yeah, they don't go and
Right.
like yell in each other's faces. American
Oh, okay.
American reality TV would be like, "Oh, why'd you do this?" And they would be yelling and screaming.
Yeah.
And then in this show,
It's like
they're
yeah,
just like,
it's like, "Oh,
"Hey,"
Katsu wore her shoes inside. Like, you guys see that yesterday?" And
it's
like,
like,
sort of
and
like
then they would like
whisper.
go
Oh,
up to,
they're like drama. Hey, you know.
yeah. And there's
Yeah.
there's like that, and then there'd be like,
So
"Hey,
gossip style.
you know what? Like, you shouldn't really wear your shoes inside." And then they're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I won't." And then
That's it?
that's the drama.
Like
That's
they
a
all
comment.
sit down.
They
come to a
sit down and they talk
consensus.
about it and they explain each
Damn,
other. Yeah,
they're that understanding. That's crazy.
it's a whole different culture, but it's
I-
amazing.
so for me, I feel like. So do you think? Okay, I think depends on how you grew up though. Um, I think in terms of drama, I guess in terms of like understanding body language, I feel like you gotta have somewhat of high level EQ in order to understand that because, like you said, in Japan, if I want to ask a girl for a phone number, how did that work? How does that work? Yeah. Like, hey, here's my phone. What do you mean?
No, like you can ask. You can ask.
Okay,
in that
got it.
case.
Like-
Yeah.
No, it's just that is obviously like obviously in America you can tell like straightforward, hey, I like you type of a sense, right? Like I don't know, it's just
Yes,
weird,
yes.
like because getting a girl's number doesn't mean that I like the girl though in Japan. Like how does that work? Just
Yeah.
wondering.
Is it like every interaction starts as friends, or is it more like
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more of that where like things are a lot slower per se. And maybe also in Japan, like this, I cannot be saying this for other people, but
Of
like
course.
maybe I feel like it's a bit more serious, the whole dating thing. Like you date to think about marriage
Got
in a
it.
sense. I don't know anything about asking people for the phone numbers because I don't do that here. But
Oh yes, just like, can you slide into my DMs? What do you do? Like
is there a
I would.
Tinder? Is this Tinder or something?
It's just like Tinder or other apps, Japanese apps
Oh,
or stuff like
got
that.
it, got it, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And everyone
Alright.
uses that now? There's no like going out, or is that just like what
I-
you've used?
No,
Well,
before COVID though, like how do you like? Let's say that you're interested in going out on a date with a girl. What did you do?
Yeah. It would usually be like through a mutual connection that I would already have met them, or like
Okay.
meet them at an event or an app. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I don't know. That's just not my style, to be honest. It's like go up to someone and be like, "Hey, have your
Confession.
number."
No,
No,
so
no,
like,
but
so
okay,
like,
Just
if
like
you
get on my
dating that
knees
girl-
and
No, no,
if
hang
you-
on,
if
hang on,
you-
hang on.
so
But
like,
even,
okay, go ahead, Mike.
no, sorry. I mean, even though you meet a girl through a friend, right? You still gotta ask the girl for a number or an email or something like that,
yeah. But like I feel like I'd just be like, "Oh, like, do you want to hang out sometime or like next weekend sort of thing?"
Oh, okay, so casually.
I don't know. Yeah, just casually.
okay,
Like
okay.
I would
Gotcha.
always just start casual, to be honest. I wouldn't
Gotcha.
go
On the
that
show,
serious.
every time they ask each other out, they're just asking if they want to go do something. That's every
Yeah,
single.
it's a lot more.
Okay, event, but it's a group event or an individual
No, it's
one-on-one event.
like one on
Two.
one.
Oh, okay,
Two
got
people,
it.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense though. All right.
Yeah.
No, I'm just
Yeah.
wondering, like, I heard the story. Guys are really shy in Japan in general, like obviously, but you're not a typical Japanese guy in a sense. So I heard the dating pool there is crazy. Like, it's like, I think the population is declining because of that. I think, isn't it? Like, there's some crazy like studies on that really in Japan. So
Yeah, the population's declining. A lot of people are unmarried or just not interested in marriage.
not interested. Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as a whole.
I think that's also in America too, though. Like our
Increasingly.
marriage age is getting higher and higher every year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you get like a Western edge? Like going up to girls, like being like, "Oh, this
Yo,
is
I'm from
a
Canada.
Western guy.
I'm from Canada.
I'm a Western guy," like
You some French?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, bonjour.
you come over like, "I'm from Canada," and they're like, "Oh yeah, this guy's exotic."
Well, they can tell though because the way he dresses. They can tell. Like Japanese people has a specific way they dress. They're stylish.
Oh,
They're
really?
super stylish, So
Am I not stylish?
How do you know he's not super stylish, Mike?
I did not mean to imply that.
What
by the way.
what an assumption.
no. But I'm just saying in general, like they have a certain style of dressing, and you can tell you're foreigner.
I
Like
think most people can, and like for whatever reason, like my face doesn't look 100 like clearly Japanese. It's just like Eurasian sort of thing.
Yeah, you're more tan than the average Japanese, by the way. So
Yeah, like my
yeah.
family on my mom's side, who I look more like, are from southern Japan, where people
Okay.
tend to be a bit more tanned.
Yeah.
Wait, but what was the question? Like, do I ever
Like
use
You get
the
like a
foreign
Western
card?
bias.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Well, and like to be honest, in some ways, I get like the worst of both worlds in a sense.
the
Like
worst of both worlds.
I don't want to complain about my
Of
circumstances
course.
because I think I'm very blessed in many ways. But like I think there are those people in Japan, just like I'm sure in the West, who
Of
like
course. Yeah.
fetishize the other side, and they're like, "Oh, I want to date an American. I want to date a Westerner." But
That's
the
true.
image that they have in their head is like some tall blonde dude, right?
Ah,
And the other thing, like there, of course, there have been people who I've met and who are Japanese, let's say, and they're like, "Oh, you speak English? You're a Westerner. That's so cool!" Like,
they're
and
impressed
like you
about
could
it.
they're
Yeah.
impressed, and like you can tell there's an interest because of that. But
Yeah.
for myself, on my end, like what do I have to be interested in them about?
That's
Um,
true.
and
They're
it's hard.
Japanese. They're
So
not
are
from Canada.
99%
They're
of
not.
Japanese people.
They're not from Canada. That's not
Like it's hard to really build a strong relationship on the foundation that one side just likes the other because they're a foreigner.
For it
Mm.
is true though. Yeah, that makes sense though.
Yeah, and I was sort of saying that I get the short end of the stick because like I look Asian, but I
Yeah.
speak English, and maybe for a lot of Japanese people, if they date an English speaker, they're going to want someone who looks, what in their mind at least, like Western.
Correct.
Um,
You're not blue eyes. You're not blonde hair. In the
Yeah.
video. I see what you're saying though.